this is the second time Digiana Group, the interview project. And today I bring great artist Nicole Salamone for this is second time interview, and I really really feel honorable to be with her this time. Really really thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to do this.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Actually, all right. Got it. Let me introduce about what is the Digiana Group, and after how what is the relationship with this group and you. All right. Actually, Digiana Group is, it's a artist group. Our concept is the basically mixing digital and analog thing, and we try to explain what is digital and what is the human analog side relationship, or try to redefinition about nowadays technology society. But that is our purpose basically. And so Nicole is the really only member of this group. And we know each other really long time. And she actually did a lot of time event, exhibition and performance show in our Digiana group, so forth. Could you introduce about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Essentially, yeah, I've been working with Sunjin and Digiana Group for a very long time. We met and discussed the Digiana concept the first time we met in some of my more conceptual work. But yeah, essentially, I'm a video artist, trained graphic designer, and performance artist, and frequently I make work that is around kind of little skits, fictional skits that are parodies about just any little situation in modern day society, often with humor and magic, a little bit of everything.
Before I meet you, in New York, almost 5 years, 6 years before, actually, even me, I didn't understand what I'm doing. I cannot explain easily, but I have something passion. I should do this something, because it's crazy thing actually, digital and mix, humanism and something. But I don't know how to explain our definition and concept and idea. But after I meet you, and I read about your lot of sentence, and I see a lot of your artwork. Of course, I bought your metamodernism, the statement, and read a lot of time. And I little bit start to understand, this is maybe this concept, and I can say more clearly about what we are doing, we want to doing, and what is the me and Nicole and you other artists, the relationship about. So that is how our group and Digiana Group is born, Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess the presence of a lot of the things that you were exploring and some of the other members, just the presence of, digital within ourselves, within the human, and then also vice versa, human inside of the digital realm or inside of computers, and how that is so fluid now, how it's so mixed together, because we're almost one with digital devices that think the same as a computer might sometimes, as scary as it may seem, or fascinating in a way.
All right, let's start first question. All right, actually, like we're gonna talk about from like I mean these questions is based from like your website. I actually I search your website a lot of time, and my question is gonna be maybe like rate from oldest one, and it's gonna be next question. It's gonna be like latest one, the new one. So I'm gonna start old story about your artwork first. All right. When I saw your website, I can see your early works in like 2015. Like that is the maybe you're still in the MFA, right? The Pratt
Yeah.
the art university, right? That's really,
Yeah.
and yeah, and like actually, yeah, I saw the author's nonography and what is the metamodernism. Like even the first age of your artwork, I see a lot of concept in about the metamodernism in your artwork.
All right.
So first question
So I
is
just
the
made a video
what makes you have
my
interested
definition of
about the
metamodern.
metamodernism so much? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I guess you know a little bit about this because we sort of met talking about this, but this was what I really studied when I was in graduate school for communications design. Um, and I guess for those of you who don't know, metamodernism is essentially a cultural theory that explains what happens or what has happened after what's known as postmodernism. And essentially it's characterized by this oscillation, this feeling of oscillation in society, this Platonic concept called metaxis, which is this constant state of in-betweenness, in between two poles or infinite poles of dichotomy and different feelings. So, for example, like in the art world, we see a lot of these tropes happening, such as informed naivety, new sincerity, digital analog, retrofuturism. A lot of, actually, how I see it is a lot of, you know, even in these tropes, these titles, such as retrofuturism, for example, like we have, you know, leaning towards retro, the past, and future, the future, but we want both. That kind of feeling, you know, maybe not being satisfied or having a million things going on, what happens in between all of that, the commotion, kind of is what metamodernism is describing. And like you, it was sort of like when I came across the manifesto and did some further readings, and then it was that same feeling, like specifically in humor and new sincerity for me, like, oh, this is what I've been doing, or this is what I've been feeling. And now there's a word for it. There's a, you know, what I'm feeling is, you know, the change of culture, of, you know, of time moving and interests and expressions changing. And, you know, really why I pursued it was interesting because I sort of, even in undergraduate school, like for years, I had been doing more activist artwork and activist design. And before entering graduate school, that was, you know, really what I wanted to keep focusing on, doing activist art. And there's this sector of graphic design or communication design that's called transformation design. This is specifically about, you know, design that's made to change people's habits, to make people, you know, do better things, or, you know, to help people quit smoking, or to help, you know, people have, be more environmentally friendly or something like that. But when, you know, and I went to graduate school deliberately trying to study this, like thinking this is my thing, this is on paper, this sounds exactly like what I want to do, transformation design, active design. And I got to school, you know, my school was very about transformation design. I studied it, and it just wasn't for me. It wasn't activist really deeply in the way that I wanted to be. And I guess, you know, I've had this desire to always like make something new more for the sake of just to talk about something different. And I think studying contemporary culture and what's going on, this shift in Western society, for me felt like actually the most activist thing to do. Even though maybe I wasn't designing a poster to tell you to, you know, save the environment or whatever, it felt, you know, being able to study what was going on in society at large, as well as within every individual on a psycho-emotional level, just, you know, it really changed my mind about and my perspective about everything. And it brought me to the realization
that, but like, so what was your like major course, like when was your in university, or like it was design, like, right? But even design course, like you have interest about like, I mean, like more philosophy and like more art thing, you know? So
I think for me, well, it wasn't a course. It was, I mean, we had some more design history courses and seminars in where, you know, I was introduced to the manifesto, the Metamodernist manifesto, in one of those courses my first semester. But I took the initiative to study it. That's what I ended up doing my thesis on, the study of metamodernism in graphic design specifically, and pointing out these different tropes in graphic design, how it can be used and for activism, but how it is also used like as an expression, or combining, you know, digital and analog, the shift towards new sincerity, this more drive to make a prototype rather than finish products and experiment more than, you know, having things completed. That's happening specifically in graphic design, as well as art. But, you know, that was, I spent, you know, a year and a half studying this on my own. And, you know, within that, and a year and a half is, in my opinion, not enough time. So because of that, you know, there was definitely an obsession developed. Like I was studying it all the time, and I was studying it because it is about culture. I was literally like at parties, I would go to parties sometimes and do ethnographic research in my head. You know, everything was research to me for that topic, because it was all about the society we're living in right now.
Actually, yeah, like for me, like, you know, like I only saw like your artworks basically, so it's just like for new for me, like you used to have a like more interest about design, I mean, so it's wow, like really, like, so yeah, because I think you're really artist, I mean, not designer, like I don't know, like maybe you have also design talent, maybe, but for me, you're really artist and like philosopher and like more genius brain people. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in design and art to me, and especially what I was doing in graduate school, was not. It was very experimental. So design and art to me, and when I talk about those times in graduate school, that's really between design and art for me. It's not aligned to what we think of as commercial design in any way.
All right. Can I go to next question? Actually,
Mm-hmm.
all right.
Yeah.
I saw your work named Sensory Experiments on Tumblr. This is really interesting. I really love it. And in this maybe
Wow.
2015, actually, in the Pratt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. Like, first, I want to explain. I want to explain this work by you, and also like after I want to ask about like what like how did you decide to make this work? Like how's come to like make let's make this kind of like, and also I mean like this works. I read the concept and I can feel your like work on humans like physical and digital interface relationship, right? Like so like did you have any like personal experience to think about this like subject in your life? So that is
Yeah.
the question, yeah. So
Yeah, definitely. Well, as you mentioned, this was in 2014 or 2015 that I made this, so it was a project in graduate school, but actually it was a research project, or intended to be a research project that kind of morphed into a design project. I think it was the whole semester we had to work on this. So and it was loosely about, um, we were supposed to conduct an ethnographic research project, which is, ethnographic is like researching culture. So researching people, and uh, yeah, so an ethnographic research project about human interactions, exploring human interactions in some way. I don't remember exactly, but it was something like that. And, I already knew my thesis on metamodernism, so it had to deal with that somehow. And this one specifically was where I started to study the dichotomy of digital and analog, which is, so I guess that's fitting for this interview to talk about this one. But yeah, I think I was mostly really interested in like this action of, what's known today as doom scrolling. And I wanted to see if there's any indication of like the vast mental activity that's going on through our physical movements, because it's just, I mean, this is not necessarily very avant-garde exploration, but it's still even today just fascinating to me how separate like our mind and body can be in the act of doom scrolling. Or that's one example, that's an extreme example, but even just using the internet and social media in general. And I'm not like a person that's super, I don't do a lot of projects or about social media or explore that topic a lot. I don't have too many thoughts about it, but still, it just the body and the mind in this act of scrolling on social media is just, it's really interesting. And I chose Tumblr. Now it's interesting because that was around 2014, 2015. So it's very, it's everything's changed since then. But still at that time, Tumblr was kind of a neutral platform, but it was also, it's not as socially oriented, but more about like curation and art and memes. I know, Reddit and some other platforms are kind of like that too, but this one is, but Tumblr still was what it was, and I use Tumblr a lot, and but it's less about interaction and commenting and messaging, and more so about just the curation and all these different media coming to you on this feed, and those things can be art, can be funny memes, videos, like sad, depressing type of things, sexual, like there's a lot of porn. There was a lot of porn on Tumblr back then. So, and I had this all unfiltered. So and I chose a bunch of people to doom scroll on Tumblr for like an hour or two straight. And, all of these people are going to have different reactions to all these different media coming out. And know that there's like, if I had like a CAT scan or an EEG on them, like that would be like the next step to this, to compare, their body.
All right.
But yeah, I wanted to read them like through the camera, and then
I saw your video, like there's 4 screens. You put the camera, and also you put the like camera on your mouse handling also, and the display. Like I saw that kind of and then just tracking, like most of the body is frozen, and then like the eyes and maybe the finger and the wrist will move, and that's it. And then so I do like, then I went a step further and did motion tracking just for those things, just for those body parts, to simplify it even more, and looked at like the speed and the consistency, like, and compare it to the scrolling activity that's happening, and where they stop, or where their eyes might widen, or their hand might shake or something like that. But yeah, there weren't any. Like, I really love this work, like everything. I actually like it. I have a lot of sympathy about it.
I was just gonna say there weren't any, I guess, concrete conclusions. I mean, I definitely made some, but there's nothing really to say, other than the obvious. Nothing to conclude other than the obvious about it. But it's still just, the movement to me was just, I guess, mostly the exploration and what was fascinating about it. Looking at that movement.
When I see this work, wow, this is what I always think about, like something inside. And she exactly explained about like same thing. But because like, like even like I went to like, I mean, when I was in Japan, like I was in the art university, and there is the like kind of like digital technology, like art things, like everyone do that. But for me, everything was new. Like, wow, digital technology, oh my God, what is that? Like, how people control about that? Like, so new. Like, especially Japanese people is really good with like computer, like, the technology thing actually. And so, like, every time I see that kind of thing, like, I feel like looks cool and new, but I feel like something, like every time I have like something weird thing, like, I don't know, like maybe afraid about new technology, or like, I don't know how to deal with this kind of thing. So, but they always skip about this kind of emotion. They always chase about, new technology, let's do a next art. But for me, it's wait a second. Like, let's explain what is my feeling about this kind of technology. It's so fast, like. So there is actually this, when I see this kind of like your work, like this, like body, like physical thing, and like Tumblr thing, there is actually like feel that time my emotion, like same thing.
Yeah, almost like, let's slow down for a minute and
let's slow down.
What's actually happening.
Yeah.
And also, like we were talking about how the human becomes the computer and vice versa. Our body is frozen, and our eyes move and our hand moves. I mean, sometimes I feel like, doom scrolling, I'm not even there, you know, it's just my hands on autopilot and my eyes on autopilot. I'm not even mentally really there sometimes. You know,
weird thing. If you're
I'm
like,
just moving.
yeah, I know it's kind of like you know, like when you smoke like weed, like I mean, like
Yeah.
when you like it's like I mean out of mind. I mean, like kind of
Yeah.
out of mind thing, you know, like digital psychedelic. Like, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. All right, let's go to next question. Anyway, like all right, let's see. Yeah, talking about your work named Consciousness or Stream. This one also made in 2015. And my question is, I see your work consciousness or this work looks you try to explain something occurred by mixing or some uncertain elements like digital things, human consciousness, magical power, spiritual thing, and like other thing. Like so, do you have any interest about like approach in those things by studying and researching new science information such as like quantum physics and nanotechnology? You know, like recently a lot of people like and a lot of scientists like talking about, you know, like more nanotechnology like can explain like the magical thing, and like people didn't know about that like before, you know. So you like studying about that kind of thing like personally, or you don't have interest in like
Yeah, no, I have always been interested in like spirituality, human consciousness, quantum mechanics, energy. And I was not as interested in it like the past 5 years or so. Um, Although recently it has come back into my interest. So I guess, you know, a lot of that work was, I would say like all of that work and even work I'm doing now or before, you know, the work in the past 5 years, it's always been a subliminal, subconscious influence, especially just energy itself and the way that it kind of moves. And this is what quantum physicists really study and talk about, even though people don't seem to believe in energy as much. But, you know, just the way it moves, like the way, you know, our emotions are influenced by it. Everything around us is influenced by it. Yeah, it's really invisible. And how can, you know, we all have really the power to change energy, meaning we can change, you know, a certain feeling. We can evoke a certain feeling, you know, in the audience as artists. You know, that's what we can do. So that, you know, even though maybe in the past 5 years, like I haven't thought so much about those concepts and that kind of science, I always am thinking about how to evoke certain emotions, and always like very particular emotions, like very subtle or random emotions that maybe, or situations, maybe even colors, you can think of it in that way. But things that are, yeah, maybe not brought out as much, or maybe only brought out very once in a blue moon. But yeah, I think, you know, and I always, I guess, you know, that's one major thing I have in mind when making art, is like what kind of feeling, especially like in a performance, but even something subtler, like a presentation, like how is this going to affect my audience, and in a way, you know, how will it change the energy in the room, you know, and what, you know, effects might happen afterwards to these people, to the world, etc.
I actually I have a like interest about like science, like you know, like science, like biology, like whatever that kind of thing. I really interested because like you know the old artists like Dali, the surrealism, the artist Dali.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know Dali also really he like studied a lot about science and like lot of things, and he changed that kind of thing to like magical like surrealism like art. But inside there, his painting, they have a lot of concept and story about that time the most new science thing inside actually. So like so that's why I just want to know like how about you like because you're always like I know you always uh like put in concept about like magical or like energy thing or like more like hard to explain like you know simply. So that's why I want to know like your study like that kind of or you're like more like like important to think just feeling or magical thing. I mean yeah. So,
Yeah, I think like if I study it too much, I think I don't try and directly make art about what I study and what I know or seek to know, because then that doesn't feel as right to me personally. Maybe influenced by it subconsciously, but it feels not like art to if I were to make it directly about what I was studying. But I think, yeah, I study these things and then I think about them and then I forget about them and then they're still within me and then I make an artwork and then I think it, you know, it has an impact, but it's not as conscious for me. It's not as planned out. I guess it's always something, it's always from a feeling like that I notice and yeah, that I think I can expand upon.
I know
Yeah.
you have a very talented sense, feeling sense. I can see it like from like your great sense from performance. Actually. Anyway, all right, let's go next question. Like I can see your amazingly daily deep approach and consideration upon your artworks, but for me, it looks sometimes too dark activity make people mind crazy and feel depression. Like so, like a nihilism person, you know. So how do you control your mental health, like healthy and make good balance your mental? I mean, like you know, just not worry. I want. I also want to know about that.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No, that's a really good question. Do you mean like how, you know, like that I talk about somewhat depressing, angry things and how to not be depressed and angry?
Yeah, like I mean, like you know, like because I see a lot of like for example, some artwork you talk about like don't stop to think, don't stop to like doubt, like just like asking everything, like some like you talk a lot of that kind of right. That is important, but like for me, sometimes too much think about and too much like doubt everything. My brain's gonna be crazy, you know. Like, who am I? Why am I here? And like, why should I do artwork? And why should I live? Like, you know, like there's gonna be like crazy. So like every time I see your artwork and like such a lot of work, make me sometimes crazy. Well, how like you control your emotion and brain like healthy, like even you like think so much things. So that's why I want to know, like just.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think, well, first of all, I guess with my artwork, and I've been this way really since, I kind of went back and started doing artwork and started like actually collaging,
Mm-hmm.
over a decade ago. But it was always kind of a theme in my work to be sort of negative, or not be negative, but point out negative things,
Mm.
evil things that are happening in society. That's just sort of like the person that I am. Like, I just notice, I'm like really sensitive to that kind of stuff, to like bad, evil things. And I notice that, and even though the style in which I bring that about in my artwork has changed a lot, that's, talking about that and bringing that out through my artwork is actually, really cathartic for me, because, that is the place that I have to get this out of my system, get this like feeling of, this is a norm. Sometimes it's scary things that have, more become a norm in society that, I just feel really uneasy about. And maybe I want to either warn people, or, and they probably don't even want to be warned or care about being warned. I don't know, but, I still want to do it anyway. And that's, I'm just like, well, I'm still going to do this. And or like it's just an anger or upset inside of me that I want to get out. But and a lot of that work, I kind of like went on a personal journey of my own, but in the past few years, a lot of it was about really, really deep perfectionism, and especially noticing this, all these contemporary wellness trends, and the need to be perfect in mind, body, and spirit, just from the deepest bones in your body, not only on the outside being perfect, but every single part of you being perfect. And noticing that, on Instagram, on billboards, and also, even though I don't really buy those products, but noticing still that sense inside of me. And so I guess also calling it out and letting it out, and making it even more so a point for people to relate. I'm not necessarily, I am criticizing, but I'm not necessarily leaving it at that. I'm bringing it up, bringing it out, and kind of, knowing that it's also relatable, and hoping that, maybe other people can relate. And I guess more to your point about, how I'm not crazy. I mean, I think, doing the artwork and having that catharsis is like a really big help to not get so upset or depressed or angry or whatever. But yeah, I mean, more in these days, I have been, I guess, more interested in like the energy stuff, and more interested in, it's been a long journey for me, but more interested in like healing my body and mind together, and more so like my body, I guess, because, we've all been locked up for a year and change. And, doing art, doing everything in art like that I love and that I want to do, and just making it something that I want to do, not something that I have to do, and making sure that I move around and take care of my body, and knowing that, you know, all things like artwork and
I don't know.
time, whatever, are temporary, and
Yeah, but
yeah.
I can see you blow out huge energy from your artworks and like
Wow.
perform. Yeah, yeah, I really respect your brave and yeah, your courage actually. Like not many people can do like throw out that kind of energy. I really respect your like way of art. So, yeah, yeah, I can see. Yeah, blow up. Yeah. It's very interesting. Thank you so much. Like that will also give me like good inspiration and hint for me. Thank you so much. Actually, bro. Yeah, actually, great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have all the secrets yet, but I'll let you know if I find the
Got it.
real big one.
Got it. All right. Let's go next story. Our next question. I wanna talk about
All right, folks. So
your work, life
I'm here to
coach,
talk to you today
life coach,
about how you can
life
harness inside of yourself
coach, and also
everything you
like
need to make
autonomous web
change, to make an
acceleration
actual,
life coach like
ultimate
but I can see from like life coach
altering
um
to your
from my
mind, to your
viewpoint
body,
like your work start
so
to
that
have
you can
some kind
step
of like
inside of
humor
yourself,
elements in like your video artwork or performance
just
artwork
life.
like
Some what elements?
Just think
humor
about life.
like
Humor?
Is that
yeah humor like
two
looks
choices?
funny like that kind of because
Choice
like
number one,
I saw your artwork when
to
was
sit
in
back,
your like school. Like I mean the Pratt, like university, like it's more like seriously thing, not like include humor thing. But after graduate, I can find like this life coach and after like performance, so it looked more like humor and like silly and like funny things like concept inside. So what things give you this kind of like inspiration to make this one? Like, yeah, what was your changing after graduate? Yeah, so
Yeah. Well, actually, humor has mostly been a part of my work. Maybe it wasn't as much like when I was in graduate school because a lot of that was mostly research. But, you know, it did. I guess the big transition from graduate school for me was the, you know, was kind of the performances and how I think it was really just continuing this dialogue that I had started there, and it sort of started at this moment when I was giving my first, I think it was the first time I presented really my thesis topic and what I was going to do, and had to get approved by all these faculty and outside jurors, and I presented it, and I guess I wasn't really trying to come across funny. I was but I don't know, I like put on kind of a show in a way, or just wasn't super serious about it, and they thought I was like they thought I was, you know, trying to be a stand-up comedian or something at this formal presentation, and they totally like called me out on it and were like not very happy at me at all. And you know, fortunately I had support of like a few faculty professors there, but a lot of them were like, what are you doing? Like, who are you presenting to? And just really off put by my whole presentation. And I think from there, you know, I just decided, this goes back to also that whole idea of like evoking, you know, emotions in people and stuff. I wanted at least to engage them, you know, and explain this really difficult concept. So, you know, I always I mean, I didn't always go about it thinking I want my presentations to be funny or different, but I always went about it like I want them to be in my way. And, you know, I think the presentations themselves just started to become looser and looser and more of an art form.
Mm.
And, and that's sort of what I was stemming off after that. But you know, I was at this point where when you start to get so involved in a concept or your artwork, you start to go crazy. And for me, going crazy is like being funny or is just humor. And I've always had it present in my work, you know, before graduate school, you know, before undergrad even. It's always been, you know, I was a really weird kid. Like I only liked comedy movies and TV shows. I only liked comedy. I never wanted to really be a comedian or anything like that. And I don't think I am, but I need to like laugh and always make fun of things. Like that's for me, it's like, you know, water, you know, I just need it to survive pretty much. And so I kind of, you know, if I'm doing what I really want, you know, in my highest idea of what I want, it has to be funny. Like it has to, for me.
Like yourself is like a factory, you know, like when you need the water, you can make
Yeah,
like
yeah. That's like the one ingredient, like the
oh,
survival ingredient for me is like some humor, like at
oh,
least just a little bit, because I just can't, you know, if you're too serious, I just feel stiff, you know. And even like it's good to be serious, but I have to eventually get to a point where I laugh because where I even laugh at myself because just no matter what, everything cannot be taken that seriously. Like you just have to laugh about it eventually.
there is the really beautiful story. Like, actually, yeah, laughing is really. I mean, like this is my story. I used to want to be a comedian actually in Japan,
Really?
but I stopped it.
Oh my god.
This is my story. I like because like after like I graduate like university, I told my parents I want to be a comedian, but they stopped me. And yeah, anyway, like a lot of story in my life. And anyway, I come to New York to be an artist. Anyway, that is the other story. Maybe other time we can talk about. All right, I really love a comedy thing.
You would have been a great comedian.
Of course, I really love your artwork, humor thing. Every time I'm laughing, and I thank you so much, actually. All right. Let's do the next question. All right. Yeah. The next one, autonomous, the web accessible YAM, like away. This is really crazy performance. I really love it. Let's talk about this. I think this art like performance maybe your first time performance show in like some kind of like local event house, like except like art university or like you know like so could you tell me how was fear like how was fear that time like you got nervous maybe because maybe this was the first time like yeah do you have nervous like
I mean, yeah, I was definitely nervous. I mean, you know, I'm a little bit nervous every time, of course, because but I went, you know, like we talked about it, it also was a continuation of what was happening in graduate school, like those presentations that I was doing. And I really got more, you know, doing the performance for me is more like, it's actually more like a design solution, I guess you can look at it, because I feel like this idea needs to be taken to the extreme in that I can't just do it on video. Like I need to be in a live setting, and it could be somebody else, but I just do it because it's like the easiest, you know, because I'm here, it's free. I can control everything. But you know, so I feel it just feels like a duty almost that I need to perform it. You know, it just needs to happen. So I guess I think that time, you know, I knew I was going to be nervous already, and I knew you know, it was just going to be an experiment. So I sort of played it a little bit easy for that one. And it was great, and I had such a good time doing it. You know, I got not nervous like 5 seconds after I got up on stage, and just like ended up having.
You look happy, and you just explain yourself really 100%. I mean, like 200%, 300% yourself. Wow, like actually. It was amazing. And I told you before, there was the best live performance show I have ever seen. Even TV show, even famous artists, you know, like that is really shocked me actually. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
really.
makes me really happy.
Really. Like, you know, even like for me, even compare with like Michael Jackson, like whatever, like that kind of artist performance. But when I see your performance, that time, like, wait, she is a real artist. Really, that is the most best song. Really. And yeah, can I talk about a little bit this performance? Story, how it happened? You know, like maybe you remember actually. That time, you know what, like still my English was really bad. You know, now also bad, but that time was more really bad. I cannot speak English. Really. And like, you know, like I have only like Japanese friends in New York, actually, like artist friends. So like that time, I did like my performance show with that Japanese friend at the Total is also artist. Like, we do like several times actually, and I invite you that time also. Like yeah. In the Greenpoint area, actually, some kind of like lighthouse, like.
Oh, that one at McCarran Park. Yeah.
McCarran Park, actually, and I thought even you never come to our live show, but you came that time. So I really surprised of it, and like I asked you like if we do a next time, like could you do a together to performance? But you say yes, but I thought like maybe she definitely not doing this because my English was not good and we are not friends, and maybe like we are like still, you know, like don't know each other, you know. But my next performance show was this performance, the Sleep Watchers, the performance in the horror in Bushwick, right? So that performance show concept is like audience is like was sleeping, you know, like sleep, not sitting or
really sleeping.
And basically there are concert concept is make people sleep.
Yeah.
In the live show. But like but when you start to perform, like loud sound and like you suddenly like dancing and like, big sound, and I say, oh my god, what is she doing? It's a really crazy thing. Like
yeah, but it's about making people sleep.
Yeah, like it's really totally opposite thing. Yeah, you don't make like people like sleep. That is a real shock to me, and of course that performance, like everything was just everything wonderful. Like in like concept, just visual, music. Like you play the music really cheap sound. You know, like there was also great. You know, everything was just boom, shocking, really. That is Yeah. Anyway, we start from there. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
This time I decide to yes, we can make some kind of art group together.
yeah.
Yeah. So and after that, we did a lot of like performance and exhibition, right? In Dijana group, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like
Again,
digital,
all from there.
yeah,
Yeah,
Slip Pius Digital Center for Health and Wellness performance, like hot lover, stretch yourself thing. Yeah, I saw everything actually. Yeah, like stretch yourself thing, especially you did like something make a food.
yeah.
Bush necessary. That was a very shock. There's a lot of story. Like yeah. Anyway, let's go to next question. All right. All right. Um, do you remember like maybe no this year January in COVID situation we did the first time like virtual exhibition show, right, in Dijana event the through the modular hubs like platform, right? So could you tell me about your modular hubs virtual exhibition, like stories? How was it? Did you get any inspiration in the virtual world or building process? Could you tell me about that story?
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. Just to build that virtual. We each had to build like a virtual gallery, virtual performance space, whatever kind of space, room, building. And that was really interesting. It was kind of a blessing in disguise project. I ended up having a really fun time building this gallery that was really I called it like a rest room because it sort of encompassed since about July of 2020 I really started shifting and working on a lot newer just different things than I had been working on in the past 5 years, and a lot of it, it's all really big question mark for me. I don't know conceptually where it's coming from, what it means yet. But a lot of that, yeah, it's like work in progress. And a lot of it, is also dealing with my own personal like health journey that I have been going on since right before COVID started and during, and recovering from that, and like also, how that changes you completely as a person, or how it changed me completely, and so obviously my art also has changed because my psyche has changed, and just being for a very long time, for the past 2 years, being in really this in-between state, unfinished work, not knowing what's going on, not knowing what any of it means, and just trying to, really not having the choice but to restructure my life around, getting better and recovering, from illness, and not even knowing how to describe that in words, but making a space for all of it at where I was at that moment in time, in January, especially with January of this past year was such a quiet month. I feel like, everybody I've talked to too has said like I rarely went out in January, and I felt the same way too. Of course the quarantine was like that, but January specifically I felt like was just very, very quiet this year, and that's really when this was. I felt, there wasn't much I wanted to say or wanted to evoke in people or bring about, but it was really just a display of um of that for me, and how it relates really to health and well-being, and also just how we've been in this past year, everything virtual. This was, I guess now there are a lot more tools, or the tools that we've had are getting more efficient, and or we have more exposure to these virtual tools like Mozilla Hubs. Like I didn't, we wouldn't have done that project if it wasn't for COVID, if it wasn't for the quarantine, because we would have been doing performances in person and gallery shows in person. So this was, this was actually, it was really interesting. And I really liked it. And I'm not really a 3D designer. I've played around in those programs, but they're, I'm not really very skilled in them at all. But I do remember, games like The Sims, or, other kind of those video games where you had to design in 3D space. And I guess it sort of reminded me of that, back being a teenager in my room, like antisocial and just.
You made a really nice room, actually, like in a very short tense. Really, I really supported it. Yeah,
it was just super fun for me. So
like I really love like interiors and like the color of the in the room, like purple, like psychedelic, like I really love that actually.
No, thank you.
Yeah, let's do like soon, maybe again. That kind of
I'd be down.
Yeah. All right. Like so. Next question is, like we're gonna do a NFT art exhibition together soon with the Space Gallery, or like Space 766 Gallery, the the Lower East Side in Manhattan. So how do you think about the NFT art, and what those kind of art movement can influence in your activity in the future? So
we are doing an NFT show. But yeah, actually, it's funny, like I kind of stopped following the news since November, December of last year. So I don't really know. I just hear there's all this drama with NFTs. So I think I'm not like the best person to ask, because I don't really know what's going on, except for things that I hear other people talk about. But personally, for me, I think, I'm primarily a video artist anyway. And so I think it would be very beneficial for somebody like me. And I think now, I don't, there's like, I kind of feel like there's always scams in art and in society anyway. And, if I can, for me or any other digital artists, put some stuff online and get some money for it now and cash out right away, like that sounds good to me. I'll take it.
It's very important for artists, activists, like I understand.
And I think especially as like a video artist, because video is really my primary medium. So that's, if you're a painter or whatnot, that's different, and you always have the gallery and in person. That's your place of exchange, really. But for video, it's the video scene. It's harder, and the copyright, laws, and it's a lot more gray, for video art. So I think NFT in that sense, like, could be good right now, even though it could only be temporary. But I might be wrong. Like, it could be really bad. I really haven't done that much research about it. So, but if I can make some money, like, and just do some videos and make money, so that's fine.
You can make, Anyway, we're gonna set soon, actually, like, and we put our price about artwork is gonna be, you know, once we put our price, maybe I don't know, it's gonna be more future. It's gonna more price gonna. Oh, it's always contemporary art things that do. So maybe how to know it's gonna be more maybe.
Yeah.
Can get maybe lots of money maybe in the future. I don't know. Maybe. All right. Next question. What COVID situation bring in your art life? But you already talk about this, right? Like, or how do you think like current artwork and like American society change compared with the before?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah. How? Yeah. You know, like
That is
everyone know about everything was changed different, but I just want to hear about your opinion and your experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember early on in COVID, around March or April, and I was telling my friend that I had this feeling like I didn't feel inspired to do another skit right now because I didn't feel like it was relevant. Because a lot of my stuff did have to do with health and wellness and, you know, kind of picking at these flaws in society, mainstream society. And I'm like, I feel like this is not relevant. And she was like, no, I feel like it's relevant, you know, but for me, I had this sense that it wasn't relevant. And as much as I wanted to convince myself it was, or I could just keep making it, or, you know, I can make it now and present it later, whatever. I really can't explain it, but I couldn't keep doing it at the time. And then there was also that, you know, noticing in myself how, well, you know, because I make a lot of videos, even though all the skits and stuff are written out first and whatever, but a lot of it is videos. And I also worked full time and using a computer, designing on a computer, and I did not have it in me to keep doing digital artwork after my digital design job during the day, you know, and to transition from that, because I was at home on the same computer in the same room doing work from 9 to 5, and then doing, you know, after work wanting to do a video project. For some reason, my body could not do it. And that was the one shift for me. And then, so I started doing, you know, I actually started doing music. I tried to keep doing artwork and doing video, and then I just, you know, I tried to keep doing it, but my body like kept fighting it, because literally the effect of the quarantine was so, I mean, it was so severe. It really impacted all of us. And this is how it impacted me personally. The first thing was the concept. I can't do the concept right now. It's not relevant. And secondly, I can't keep doing digital. I can't keep doing this digital art, even though I love animation, I love digital art, I love video, but I can't, it's just, my body cannot do it right now. Keep sitting in the same chair like all the time, no matter what is going on mentally, no matter how happy or excited I am about it, I just couldn't. And yeah, so the music happened, and then out of that, you know, now I've been doing, I guess maybe the music, you know, then that inspires you to do something else. So now my work is has been a lot more fluid, less conceptual. But I'm back to doing more video work still again. And, you know, that's just the journey for me, but I guess the bright side was that I feel now that I'm working, it's not as difficult what I'm doing. I feel like, you know, I'm doing more and more just what I want to do and not caring about the end result at all. And I think, you know, that's definitely a positive thing. And I've noticed that same kind of thing talking to artists like in the past few months. I think everybody has had their own really intense personal journey. You know, for me, I was working during the whole time, but I know many, many people had lost their jobs or, you know, or freelancing, didn't have. So that, you know, on my end, of course, I was like, oh man, I wish I didn't have a job so I could do art all day. But like, you know, of course, then I'm very lucky to still be able to support myself. And so there's like good and bad on everybody's end. So a lot of people, right, were able to bring their artwork really to business, really be able to do what they loved because they actually did lose their job and they had to make ends meet. A lot of people maybe found, a lot of people had quarantine hobbies, you know, like mine, picking up the bass guitar, which I hadn't done in years, just out of boredom. And it's so many people like, you know, just getting into new mediums, new projects, you know, in every sense. And I think, yes, so many people I talked to made a drastic shift in the work that they are doing versus what they weren't. And of course, you know, some people might not have, they just had more time to work on their stuff or more time to advance intensely. But I think the one thing that remained was that I think people did just, you know, do more of the things that they wanted to do, that they loved. You know, I think there was less of the bullshit, less of doing things we didn't love and more of doing things that we did love because we were at home, we had extra time, we didn't have to go out, and, you know, we couldn't go out, we couldn't meet anybody else. And so there is still that, also that drive, that need inside of us to do at least something that brings us joy, you know? And so whatever it was, I think, positive in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Transformative. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, good to hear that. Yeah, you survival.
Yeah.
In this.
Yeah, survival. It is survival, you know, just doing, you know, doing something that you actually like or enjoy.
Great. Like, good to hear that. Like, all right. Next one is actually last question. All right. So it's very simple. Just what is your next vision? And like, how can, like, I mean, is there any chance? How can I help your vision about artwork through digital project, or how can I help you? Like, how can we make a more good place for us and art? And well, just simply, what do you want in your future? Actually, yeah.
My future, ooh.
Yeah.
Do I get what I want?
Yeah. Next vision or like.
Yeah. Well, I guess artistically, you know, like I said, a lot of stuff I've been working on is very different, not as conceptual. I guess there's not as much humor in there. A lot of it is very fluid, and it's very much about like the time that I've been going through myself, like recovering from illness and recovering from COVID, like not having COVID, but the pandemic, the quarantine, the whole world's all this depressing shit happening at once, this awful shit happening. You know, everybody's going through recovering from that trauma and, you know, in their own ways. And, you know, I guess for me, it's describing that weirdness and that, you know, the good and bad out of it in very much like an intuitive, visual way. And that's through, a lot of that is through movement, through, you know, music and rhythm and color. and connecting it. For me, connecting, I've been doing a lot of my own body work, like energy healing and yoga, just out of pure necessity, but also doing a lot of animation on the computer. And so I find this for me has been something actually that's always been in my head, but now recently I've finally been able to get it out. If that makes sense. I realized like I've had this in my head for years, decades, but finally to be able to like release this like movement kind of rhythm music.
So basically, you're making rhythm music. Basically, I know you love like club music and like dance music. I love actually, and also you especially making that kind of music. Like, you must do or like sometime your music show sometime somewhere. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I might want to do a music performance, and it might just also be very much an inspiration for me to help my artwork in a visual way, to help me understand it more. But I want to bring this. I've found new relationship with my mind and my body and like movement and the way energy moves in a physical way, in a conceptual way, and I, in a very, very broad sense, want to convey that, want to bring that out and express it, which you can say is what all art does, or what much art does. But I guess this is my own personal form of expressing it. Actually, it's a lot like, we were talking to Mio, when we had the dinner at Synesthesia. But, I was describing how this is really my form of synesthesia. I have like movement synesthesia where, I hear, it also comes through colors, but, if I hear a sound or a certain stanza or whatever, certain beat, sometimes I really like it a lot. And then, I like it so much sometimes that I have to, not only does the movement come in my head, but I have to get it out. And that's been more recently what I've been doing. It's just getting out that synesthesia, I guess. Yeah,
definitely. Like for me, I have a lot of idea like what to do, wanna do event offer in synesthesia and other event house with you and other guys. So please keep in touch with me. All right, please definitely.
I went the other night actually, and I talked to Mio.
Actually, like
she told me that you brought some steak by.
Steak?
Yeah, she said that you came over with a bunch of steak.
Actually, you know what? Like, oh, this is actually I don't know. It's okay to include in interview or not, but you're basically vegetarian.
Yeah, I am.
You cannot eat like
I can't eat meat. I know.
You know what? Like, actually, only few days before we did a like meat party in synesthesia. Actually,
I know.
How do you know that?
She told me.
Really?
Yeah. But that's good.
Anyway, like we're gonna do like next time like mushroom, like the wagyu sushi and the mushroom dinner party. Actually.
Yeah.
If you want to join anytime, just contact me. All right. I just saw that you're vegetarian, so that's why I didn't invite you. But anyway, if you want, anytime, please join. Yeah. Anyway.
fun.
Yeah, this is out of our like this is interview, sorry, but it's okay. Anyway, people can know oh, Nicole is
Yeah.
vegetarian, at least vegetarian.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
All right.
Good thing to know.
Anyway, like every question from basically me is over. Actually, we can speak later. Like actually, I have lot of questions about you, but like maybe I need more English skill in the future. Little bit.
No. Okay.
All right, got it. And thank you so much for today taking interview. Actually, thank you so much having time.
Yeah.
It was
No.
very big, so many information like and inspiration gave to me. And thank you so much. All right,
Oh, good.
all right, and thank you for everyone for watching. This is Nicole Salamone, and thank you so much. Maybe see you soon, everyone. All right,
Thank you, Jean. This
All right.
was
All right.